Okay, welcome back to Shooting It Straight with me, Antonius. As the title of the video indicates, this video will look at my very first 9mm, and which will probably be the last video that I will put out. And we'll go over that in just a few minutes, but first let's begin by taking a look at my very first 9mm. Okay? You may have noticed that in my nearly 100 videos posted on this channel already, I've never once shown a 9mm handgun. Now, the reason for that is simple. I've never owned a 9mm handgun. I've never really been interested in them, and only because I'm just old school. I grew up with a 1911, and so that's what I'm most comfortable with. So that's what I've always stuck with. But I finally decided to get a 9mm, and it's the first one I've ever owned. Now, I still do prefer a good old 45 ACP or a 40 caliber, but honestly, I just couldn't find a legitimate reason not to own a 9mm. Now, the market is literally saturated with almost nothing but 9mm handguns, and so there are plenty of good other options to choose. Anyway, I didn't want to put a lot of money into a 9mm, but on the other hand, I still wanted it to be battle worthy, just for a, just in case scenario thing. Things like build quality, utter reliability, durability, the quality of materials used, well, those are all important to me in any firearm, really. Now, I considered other 9mm pistols, and there's a lot of good ones out there, but because of its impressive reputation and its extremely affordable price, I decided to give the SAR 9 budget gun a try. And there are a million YouTube video reviews on the SAR 9 already, so I won't go into much detail on that. But let's take a look at it. We're going to clear it. All right. Now, the SAR 9 comes with the standard stuff like, the owner's manual, cleaning brush and rod, and of course the federally required action lock. But it does come with two steel 17-round magazines and even a nice handy disassembly tool with it too, like a punch that you'll use right here to take the removable grip panels off and on with. Now, the SAR 9, as you know, is made in Istanbul, Turkey, specifically for the Turkish military and civilian police forces over there. And it's been imported here exclusively by SAR USA since 2018. And they have been a major hit. It's proven itself to be ultra reliable and durable through many NATO and Turkish military tests. You can look those up. They're all over the place. Now, this particular one is a SAR 9T. The T designates it as being the model without the manual thumb safeties. It doesn't have a manual safety on it. And this particular model has a stainless steel slide with a silver finish. The grip contour here is virtually similar to that of the VP9, I think, and is probably the most comfortable grip I've ever experienced on a handgun. Now, as far as its overall size is concerned, it's basically the same size as your Glock 17. It sports a conservative 20-inch grip pitch, so natural point is, for me anyway, much better on this than a Glock. It also has a very nice trigger guard undercut right here. It has very subtle finger grooves, which I prefer over the checkering here, front strap checkering. And the finger grooves, are another reason why I prefer the Gen 4 Glocks over the Gen 5s. But that's just me. The slide catch here, that slide catch is thick steel and it's easily usable, and the magazine release button right here is also steel and it is reversible. It has a three slot pick rail here on the dust cover. It's got a 4.4-inch barrel that's forged steel with 6 traditional lands and grooves with a right hand twist at the rate of 1 in 10 inches. So non-jacketed lead ammo shouldn't pose a problem there. And the barrel life is rated as being at 50,000 rounds under normal range conditions. The barrel on this model appears to be chromed, or maybe possibly just highly polished, I don't know. But it does have a fully supported chamber, and the crown here is slightly recessed. Those are all good. Like I mentioned earlier, it comes with interchangeable back straps and palm panels, large, medium, and small. It has steel sights, drift adjustable Novak style snagless rear sights using the typical 3-dot setup. The sights are factory set for a combat center hold sight picture. All right, not a 6 o'clock target hold. Because, remember, this pistol is designed for combat use, and combat use pistols use a center hold. 6 o'clock sight pictures are for target shooting, generally. We have a shallow scallop here on each side of the mag well for manually stripping the magazine out of the mag well in the event of a type 3 type malfunction, or unintentional mud bath or something like that. The trigger pull has the typical striker fired feel in most respects, but the pull weight here seems to be right around 6.5 pounds or so in my estimation, and is not nearly as smooth as the trigger pulls on my Glocks. At any rate, it is safe to dry fire, but I would still use snap caps during any extensive dry firing sessions. The trigger here has a striker status indicator in the form of a red triangle right here, all right, which indicates that the striker is cocked and ready to fire. No red, trigger dead. I just now invented that phrase. Now this only shows that the striker, all right, is cocked. Okay, it doesn't indicate that a round is actually chambered. A chambered round indicator can be found at the top of the extractor here. When it's pushed out, you can see red on the top of the extractor, top edge of the extractor here. All right, now it can be difficult to see, so you may have to look for that. Let's talk about shooting impressions. To prep this SAR 9 for the range testing, all I did was field strip the gun and wipe down everything. Now they test fire the pistols at the factory for function. Then they immediately pack it in the case and ship it off. They don't waste time cleaning them, so of course they're a bit dirty when it gets to us. I simply wiped everything clean. I did not apply any lubrication to anything. A new poly pistol shouldn't really need that. It's okay if you do, but I'm just saying it shouldn't really need it. But right out of the box, we shot 250 rounds of Fiocchi 124 grain FMJ through it over the weekend without any cleaning. But then again, any decent handgun should be able to accomplish that, right? Anyway, I found it to be pretty soft shooting, a pretty soft shooting gun. Very easy to control, extremely comfortable ergonomics, very natural pointability. It shot point of aim. It had a consistent ejection pattern, and the sights lends itself to easy and fast tracking. All right. Now the magazines here are made in-house by SAR. They're rugged, they're strong, and they were 100% drop-free every time. Insertion was fast and slick. and there is positively no play once they're in there. Now, touching on the trigger once more. You know I don't usually harp about triggers, I don't care about them, but in this case I'll say that the trigger pull did feel a little bit wonky to me. Okay, it comes to a hard wall, and breaking through that wall requires a long and rather sticky pull to release. Now, suffice it to say that the trigger on this particular SAR 9 is not the best. It's definitely not suited for slow, precise type shooting. But for a pistol that is made and intended for service or duty use, that really doesn't matter, so it's fine in that respect. Overall, it's an extremely easy and pleasant shooting handgun, aside from the weird trigger pull, which may be limited to just my particular pistol. I've got zero complaints about it. I can get used to the wonky trigger because everything else is pretty much near perfect. All right, quickly, disassembly. Let's look over the basic field strip method. And I'm going to go slow here because it seems that there's a ton of people that are confused about it. Never mind the fact that the owner's manual provides instructions on it. Here's how to remove the slide according to the owner's manual. Pull the trigger, of course after you've cleared it and everything naturally. Pull the trigger, we've already got the trigger back. Then pull down on the takedown tabs. These tabs right here with the bumps on them, on either side. Just pull down like you would on a Glock, all right? And you'll see, when I do that, you'll see the slide bump itself forward slightly. Now watch. See that? That's all you have to do. Slide it forward and it comes off. That is it. And by the way, the texturing right here on the two takedown tabs is there to allow you to maintain a good hold while pulling them down to disassemble it. They are not put there as a finger rest pad while shooting, as some have said. All right, let's go over the frame and some of the parts there. All of the parts in the frame here are set inside a stainless steel chassis, very similar to the FCU of a SIG P320, and it too forms the 4 slide rails here, right? Okay. This steel reinforcement helps to lessen frame flex to some degree, and it adds to its durability and weight. The chassis, this steel chassis, can be removed from the frame if you take out the frame pins and the takedown tabs, but the manufacturer discourages that. Aside from the bifurcated trigger shoe safety leaf similar to that of a Glock, the trigger housing unit also uses a safety shelf, and for the cruciform wing, just like the Glock does, which acts as another drop safe feature. During my examination of the internal components, I was a bit surprised to see that the locking block, the extractor, the slide catch lever, and even the steel chassis itself are very robust, very beefy, probably more so than they actually need to be. It's evident to me that this pistol was indeed made for combat use. Let's quickly look at the slide. The slide's back plate, which is steel, is removed the same way you would remove a Glock back plate. Now we can also see that it uses a captured dual spring recoil spring assembly to help dampen recoil and prolong the life of the springs. Also on the underside we have the same Glock style firing pin block safety right here. And the firing pin or striker itself is identical to that of the Glock. But I did notice that the SAR comes with the marine spring cups, designed to keep the gun firing when water floods the firing pin channel. And now I'm going to explain in 15 seconds or less the basic cleaning method for the SAR 9. Are you ready? You clean and maintain it the same way as you would any other semi-auto pistol. The same as you would clean a Glock, a VP9, a PQP, a P320, an M&P, an H&K, ad infinitum. It's no different. As with most other manufacturers, SAR USA suggests that you clean the pistol after each range session. And a final note here before we end this part of the video. It's not true that the SAR 9 requires NATO ammo in order to run properly. It'll run just fine with standard loads and with ammo less than 124 grains in weight, as long as you have a proper grip and keep your wrist locked while shooting. You'll be fine, and that's the same with any other semi-auto. The recoil spring is not a lot more stiff or much stiffer than others. Here's a typical example. The Glock 17, also designed for NATO ammo, uses a 17-pound recoil spring. The SAR uses an 18-pound recoil spring. Now, because of the fact that the SAR 9 is specifically designated to use NATO ammo, there will be no mention of it being plus P rated on the pistol or in its literature. The very fact that it is designated to use NATO ammo should be enough to let people know that it will handle commercial plus P loadings with ease. Now, the fact is that neither plus P loads nor NATO loads are much more powerful than most standard commercial pressure loads, standard pressure loads commercially made. And they're certainly not the commonly thought 10% higher in pressure. The owner's manual does state that if the pistol is marked 9x19 on it, then it will handle NATO loads. Of course, you probably already know that shooting reloaded or remanufactured ammo will void the warranty. Overall, I'm very impressed with the SAR 9, and regardless of the extremely low price of it, I got mine brand new for under $300. I think that the pistol itself, in its role as a duty or service pistol, easily ranks right up there with the Glock, Springfield, Walther, FN, and H&K. In fact, the NATO test I spoke of earlier proves it. All this for about 60% less money than any of those other brand 9mm. Now, that's what I call a value. All right, final video. All right, let's quickly discuss the probability of this being my final video. In the past 2.5 years, I've published about 98 videos on my channel. My goal was to basically educate and inform members of the defensive shooting community by providing them with factual information that most other similar channels were not offering, probably because the content was not glamorous or tactical enough. Anyway, I enjoyed putting out those videos, and through your comments, I have learned a lot. Now, I don't plan to take any of my videos down, and I will still try to respond to questions on those videos that are still posted. However, I'm afraid that my declining medical situation has now forced me to either post very short videos on a very limited and inconsistent basis, or to simply cease altogether. The explanation for this is rather long and complex, so I won't go into that. But I wanted to thank those who have subscribed to my channel and for the supportive comments you've left. You have made me feel that my efforts in this YouTube video journey have indeed been a worthwhile endeavor, and that's what matters to me. So, thank you for watching. Take care, and by all means, keep shooting it straight. Ciao, brothers.